People claim there's something that can give you years of therapy in a single night. But this isn't some new age nonsense. Veterans with decades of PTSD are sleeping through the night. People are walking away from years of depression in hours. And it's all by taking something that does what therapy just can't do. The world's top universities are spending millions trying to understand how this works. And today, I'm going to reveal what this is and how it's changing everything we know about mental health. Look, let's be honest about something here. Therapy has value. Millions of people have found some help through it, and decades of research back up certain benefits. It creates safety, helps you understand your patterns, and if you've gained insights from therapy, those matter. But progress is painfully slow. Breakthroughs can take years, or they might never come at all. You can sit in that chair week after week, paying $150 an hour, wondering if anything's actually changing. You know that feeling when you leave a therapy session and think, we just talked about the same thing again? You're not imagining it. People feel like they're going in circles because they literally are. The complaint I hear most is, I get it now. I understand the problem. I know exactly what happened to me and why, but I still don't feel different. You can spend months analyzing your childhood, identifying every trigger, tracing your patterns back to their source, but you can still wake up with the same anxiety churning in your stomach. So what's happening here? It's because therapy works at the conscious level. It talks to your rational thinking mind, but trauma doesn't live there. Trauma gets stored deeper in your nervous system, in your body. The problem isn't that therapy is bad. The problem is that talking can only reach so far. And for way too many people, it's just not far enough. But what if there was a way to reach those deeper places? What if you could somehow speak directly to the parts of yourself that words can't touch? Those deeper places have a name. Scientists call it the default mode network, or DMN for short. And it's the key to understanding why you stay stuck. This network is a group of brain regions that light up when you're not focused on anything specific. It's what's running when your mind wanders, when you're daydreaming, when you're just existing. But it's also where your sense of self lives, your identity, your story about who you are, your automatic thoughts and reactions. All of that runs through the DMN. Your DMN isn't bad, but it can just get imbalanced. When you've been traumatized, this network becomes hyperactive. Brain scans of people with depression, anxiety, and PTSD show their default mode network light up like Christmas trees. It's constantly active, constantly churning, constantly reinforcing the same negative patterns. That voice telling you you're not good enough, that involves your DMN. Those 3 a.m. spirals where you replay every embarrassing thing you've ever done, the DMN. The way you automatically tense up when someone raises their voice even slightly, your default mode network has been programmed to keep you in survival mode. Talk therapy tries to change these patterns by speaking to your conscious mind, but your DMN operates mostly below consciousness. It's like trying to reprogram a computer by talking to the monitor instead of changing the actual code. The network keeps running the same old programs because nothing has actually interrupted the system. You can understand your patterns perfectly, but understanding doesn't rewrite the code. This is where talk therapy hits a wall. No amount of insight can reach into your default mode network and flip the switches that need to be flipped. You need something that can actually access the deeper operating system of your brain. You need a way to temporarily turn off that overactive network so your brain can finally rebuild itself from the ground up. That's exactly what psychedelics do. And there's one especially that's starting to replace therapy for some people. For decades, researchers at Harvard, Johns Hopkins, and NYU have been studying these substances for depression, PTSD, and addiction. What they found changed everything we thought we knew about healing trauma. Psychedelics don't just numb the pain or help you think differently about your problems. They temporarily shut down that overactive default mode network we just talked about. Brain scans show it going completely dark during a psychedelic experience. For the first time in years, maybe decades, that constant mental chatter stops. The voice telling you you're not good enough goes quiet. The automatic fear responses that have been running your life get switched off. Your brain finally gets a break from the patterns that have kept you trapped. And in that silence, something remarkable happens. Different parts of your brain that normally never communicate start talking to each other. Your emotional centers connect directly with your logical thinking areas. Memories get processed without that inner critic interfering. Your brain literally rewires itself, building new pathways around the damaged ones. The results in clinical trials are stunning. People who've tried every antidepressant on the market, who've been in therapy for years with minimal improvement, are experiencing breakthrough healing in single sessions. But among all psychedelics, there's one substance that stands out, the one people describe as compressed compressing years of therapy into a single night, one that doesn't just quiet your default mode network temporarily, but seems to reprogram it entirely. Veterans with PTSD who haven't slept peacefully in 20 years walk away from one experience finally able to rest. People struggling with addiction for decades suddenly find themselves free from cravings that controlled their entire lives. What could be powerful enough to create changes that deep, that lasting? Deep in the Amazon jungle, indigenous tribes discovered something extraordinary over a millennium ago. They found a way to create the most profound healing experience known to humanity by brewing together two specific plants. They named it ayahuasca. What makes ayahuasca different from every other healing method comes down to brain chemistry. Inside your brain right now, there's a compound called DMT. Your body makes tiny amounts of it naturally. Scientists believe it gets released during dreams and possibly at birth and death. Some researchers call it the brain's own key to expanded consciousness. But there's a problem. Your digestive system immediately breaks down DMT before it can reach your brain. It's like your body has a built-in security system that blocks DMT from doing its work. The Amazonian shamans solved this puzzle in a way that still amazes scientists today. They learned to combine a plant that has DMT with a vine that has special chemicals called MAO inhibitors. These inhibitors essentially tell your body's security system to stand down, allowing the DMT to reach your brain and stay active for hours instead of seconds. What happens next isn't easy to describe. Unlike other substances that only change your mood or perception, ayahuasca creates what people describe as entering alternate dimensions of reality. People have conversations with entities that feel more real than people in the room. They see movie reels of their entire lives, watching every moment from angles they never imagined possible. But ayahuasca doesn't just show you interesting visions. It forces you to confront your deepest wounds head on. You might find yourself reliving childhood trauma, but this time experiencing every emotion your parents felt in those moments. A failed marriage gets dissected in excruciating detail, revealing exactly how your own choices led to the divorce. You feel years of buried shame, anger, and fear all at once, demanding to be seen. Many describe the experience as meeting an ancient feminine intelligence, sometimes called the plant teacher or medicine spirit, who guides you through this intense emotional archaeology with zero ability to hide from it. The journey can be absolutely terrifying. Complete ego dissolution, encounters with your darkest psychological shadows, the sensation of dying and being reborn. None of it feels optional once you're in the experience. But while all this psychological and spiritual work is happening, your body is going through something equally intense. What I'm about to tell you might sound brutal, because it is. Ayahuasca doesn't just change your mind. It takes your body through an intense physical ordeal that most people are completely unprepared for. Within 30 to 60 minutes of drinking the thick, bitter tea, your stomach starts to churn. Your body temperature fluctuates wildly. One moment you're sweating, the next you're shivering uncontrollably. Then comes what shamans call La Purga, or the purge. Almost everyone vomits, not just once. We're talking about hours of intense vomiting that seems to come from somewhere deeper than your stomach. People describe purging things that feel ancient, like they're expelling years of stored emotional toxins. But vomiting is just the beginning. Explosive diarrhea is common. Your body might shake so violently that you can't control your limbs. Some people sweat so profusely they soak through multiple sets of clothes. Your heart rate can spike dramatically. People report feeling like their heart might burst out of their chest. During the peak, many people become completely incapacitated. You're lying on a mat in complete darkness, unable to move, while your body processes this incredibly powerful medicine. The physical sensation of dying, not metaphorically, but literally feeling like your body is shutting down, happens to most participants. But here's what's remarkable about all of this. People say it feels necessary. They describe the purging as releasing decades of stored trauma, the shaking as their nervous system finally discharging years of trapped energy, the sensation of dying as the death of old patterns that no longer serve them. One person told me it felt like their body was performing surgery on itself. Painful, exhausting surgery that they somehow knew they desperately needed. The physical ordeal isn't a side effect of the healing. It is the healing. Your body is processing trauma in ways that talking in therapy never could. By morning, most people report feeling physically lighter than they have in years, like they've been carrying invisible weight their entire lives, and suddenly it's gone. Now, before you think this sounds completely insane, understand that all of this happens in a carefully controlled environment with trained professionals. You don't just drink ayahuasca in someone's basement. Legitimate retreats operate like medical facilities. Groups gather in specifically designated spaces where everyone sits on mats in a circle. and you're monitored the entire time by experienced staff. The person running the ceremony isn't some random hippie. These are practitioners who've trained for decades, who've guided thousands of people safely through this process. They know exactly what you're experiencing because they've been through it hundreds of times themselves. There are protocols around everything: medical screening before you're even accepted, proper preparation and dietary restrictions, clear intention setting before you drink anything. Then throughout the night, the facilitator uses traditional techniques that have been worked for over 1,000 years to guide the experience. You're never alone, never abandoned to figure it out yourself. But the real results show up in the weeks after you return home. The insights from your experience need to be integrated into your daily life or they fade away. Most legitimate programs include follow-up sessions, integration support, or connections to therapists who understand this kind of work. I heard about a guy who went to a retreat in Costa Rica after 15 years of treatment-resistant depression. During his session, he processed childhood abandonment issues in a way that finally made emotional sense to him. Not just intellectual understanding, but genuine resolution. He described feeling forgiveness for his father for the first time. Not because he decided to forgive, but because the resentment was literally gone. 6 months later, he was off antidepressants. Not because ayahuasca magically cured him, but because it gave him access to the kind of deep processing that years of traditional therapy couldn't reach. This is happening to thousands of people in professional, supervised settings with practitioners who've dedicated their careers to making this work safely. So here we are, years of therapy in one night, impossible until you hear it from the people who lived it. For decades, we've been told that healing trauma takes years of slow, careful work, that breakthrough moments are rare, that you need to manage your symptoms and not eliminate them. But what if that's not true? What if the real problem was never that healing takes forever, but that we've been using tools that can only reach so far? Therapy works at the level of thoughts and insights. Ayahuasca works at the level of the nervous system itself. Therapy helps you understand your patterns. Ayahuasca helps you rewrite them. Thousands of people who felt stuck for years are walking away from single experiences with genuine resolution to problems that defined their entire lives. Maybe the question isn't whether ayahuasca works. The research is clear, the testimonials are overwhelming, and the science explains exactly why it's effective. Maybe the real question is whether you're ready to consider that there might be a faster path to healing than the one you've been on. The tribes knew this secret for over 1,000 years. We're finally just catching up.